Five Nights at Freddy's needs a reboot. The current trajectory that the franchise is going in is not good. And I understand a lot of new fans enjoy Security Breach and enjoy the most recent games. But I personally believe that if FNAF keeps going in this direction, it will eventually isolate not only old fans, but also new fans. Today I'm going to be discussing why I think Five Nights at Freddy's needs a reboot and how it should be done. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like, subscribe and share the video if you want, and let's get into it. Yes, I understand this is an incredibly common complaint nowadays with FNAF, but I think it is because if it's supposed to be a horror game, what's the point if it's not scary? Security Breach, Help Wanted was fine. I think Help Wanted was scary. Even in flat version, I thought there was some segments that could be scary. But in Security Breach, I just think the 80s synthwave kind of vibe the entire place has, with the bright neon lights, do not work in a horror aesthetic. And if it does, it was not done very well on Steelwool's behalf, I do not think. I do think they maybe could go back to do another 80s aesthetic one day, but I honestly do not think it works very well for Security Breach at all. It really just drains a lot of the life and a lot of the horror that all the games had. And I think FNAF is slowly becoming more sanitized and more clean. And I think that's a problem. I really do. And I think the worst offender of this is the sanitized dialogue in Security Breach. They'd never mention blood, and they were going to, but it was removed. I don't know what's going on. Kids know what blood is. Kids know what death is. This game is about people going missing and presumably dying. Not presumably, they did. But this whole franchise is based off child murders. And I think that's incredibly stupid that you don't even mention blood. And when you did, it got cut because it was too scary. I think that's honestly ridiculous, and it underestimates how kids actually are. When I started liking FNAF, it's because it was too adult for me. It felt too adult for me. It obviously wasn't, but it felt too adult for me, so I went towards it. Like how kids play Call of Duty because they think it's cool, because it's older for them. And I think that's something FNAF really did. FNAF did that, and it doesn't do that anymore. It's obviously being marketed towards kids, and there's nothing wrong in that. I think entry-level horror is fantastic. It helps the horror genre in general, but I think this is too much in the wrong direction, too far promoting for kids at the point it's just not cool anymore. The kids are just going to think it's lame. And another thing, I think as much as I like some of the glam rock animatronics, I honestly think the game suffers for giving them personalities. I really think it does. And there's nothing wrong with giving them personalities per se, but I think it's not done very well. And I think literally just making the main monsters chasing you have quirky personalities really takes the horror away. And at the end of the day, this is a horror franchise. And if it's not scary, what's the point? And it's unfortunate. I think FNAF can be scary, and it should be scary, but it unfortunately isn't. And it's disappointing to see. So this is the first point. Obviously, I do not find it scary anymore. And yeah, I understand a lot of people are fine with it not being scary, but I personally think it will negatively impact the franchise and make it a laughingstock, like what happened with Sonic. This point's a lot less, I guess, long. It's going to be quite self-explanatory, I suppose. The direction it's going to keep going in, it's going to slowly parody itself, as Security Breach almost kind of feels like a parody anyway, like a parody of a horror game. And I think it's slowly going to go so far where the new fans become like the old fans and they feel incredibly detached from the rest of the franchise. And I think the main thing is I think there's two major fixes that there's ways to fix this, and I think it's Scott has the money, and he's going to be behind the scenes, but he's still going to be part of the franchise, and he has the money to do this. And I know some people don't like Scott, and I completely respect that, to be honest. But the way I see this is the way you can fix this is just by making some FNAF games be incredibly dark and edgy, and have others made by Steelwool that are completely fine. And I know that's very a lot of resources and a lot of stuff and a lot of people, but I think that's really I think that's the best way to do it. Um, just isolating Security Breach fans just would not be fair. Um, as much as I don't like it that I've been isolated as a fan, I don't think we should isolate other fans by demanding changes, I think. And I think, again, the best way to do this is have more edgy games and have not edgy games like Security Breach. And I think maybe the best way to do this is have fan versus devs like Fnaf and like Ken Carter and all of the amazing fan versus devs, except the guy that made Flumpties. John O'Chrome can go. He can go. Um, but, I think it's a really easy fix. Just have some people, just have more than one development team. People were waiting nearly 3-4 years for Security Breach. It's the longest wait for a FNAF game. And I think it's kind of ridiculous that it ended up only pleasing half the fan base. And I think there's just, again, the easiest way to fix it is just to split FNAF into two different segments. Have an edgy and a non-edgy. And I know some people might not like that, but I think that's honestly the best course of action. So, all in all, literally just have two pillars of FNAF. And this didn't work well with Sonic. I think a fan base that you can really have similarities with FNAF is Sonic. It didn't work with Sonic because it's not really a lot of classic fans anymore. But there's a lot of old FNAF fans, and there's a lot of new FNAF fans. So I think making two pillars just to please everyone would be the best course of action. This is either the least or most controversial thing in this video. I think the main thing ruining FNAF is the lore. I think it's gone on too long, and I think it needs a full reset. I think Help Wanted tried to do the reset, but then they decided to kind of step back and change their mind for Security Breach. And I think the franchise is going in a weirdly sci-fi route that I'm not a fan of. I don't mind sci-fi horror. I think it's done really well in stuff like the first Dead Space. But FNAF isn't sci-fi horror. FNAF is paranormal horror. It's about ghosts, not aliens or robots. Like, it's like making the next Resident Evil about aliens. It doesn't fit, and it shouldn't work. And the only reason Resident Evil really changed with 7 is because 7 was a soft reboot, right? And they tried to make Help Wanted a soft reboot, and it didn't work. So I think we need a hard reboot of FNAF. Start everything from Fredbear's or wherever the hell you want it to take place, and just start again. No one will judge, and honestly, I think people would understand more. You could bring a maturity to the original story, and you can really develop everything. Security Breach obviously had too much in it. It was too ambitious, and it just fell flat on its face because the way they made the game, the foundation wasn't solid, and I think that's something that needs to change. I've been UPop, and I understand if you don't agree with me. Hopefully I'll see you again sometime. But again, I've been UPop. I'll see you around.